All right, welcome guys. Today, gonna do a little something different. If you saw my last video, you probably knew this was coming. Stepping away from armor, not really. Still have the Crusader on the bench and the half track, which the half track, I ran into some fit issues and I have to fill it and everything. So that video will be slightly delayed, but the Crusader is coming along nicely. Anyways, we're gonna jump into some aircraft. Namely the Messerschmitt, it is still impossible for me to say, Me410A. And this is in 172 scale from Airfix. Now, about 1,100 of these were made between 1943 and 1944. And it was based on a couple very less successful predecessors, namely the M210. They had several problems, and continued development led us to this. Now, I believe, and I will butcher this pronunciation, but it was the Hornus, which translates, I believe, to the Hornet. That is much easier to say, and that is how I will continue to refer to it. So, classified as a heavy fighter. Now, Germany had kind of an obsession with heavy fighters, and spoiler alert, but you'll see one or two others probably in the next couple months that we will do here. Now, the purpose of the heavy fighter, intercepting and taking out Allied bombers, which the Hornet had a top speed of about 400 miles an hour, which for World War II is fast, and made it pretty successful in its role doing that. Heavy fighters also would serve, various reconnaissance roles as light bombers, anti-shipping, and kind of more. So that's enough of that. Airfix was nice enough to give us a little bit of a surprise release last year in 2023. I don't think really anyone saw this kit coming. It is a very unique looking plane. I have to get out of the habit of saying vehicle. And because I love unique vehicles and aircraft of World War II, I, of course, had to buy one on pre-order, and here we are building it. So, without further ado, let's open the box, and let's see what we got here. So, I know Airfix is kind of met with some different reactions, opinions, whatever. I like Airfix, personally. Now, I get it, too. They were how I actually got into building models. If you've seen any of my other videos, it's what I suggest if you want a beginner aircraft. And it's really two reasons. One, it comes with the paints and everything that you started. Not this one, but they have starter sets and gift sets. But they're pretty simplistic. Now, just like every other model company, really, I guess outside of Tamiya, they weren't that great back, 20, 30 years ago. I will say, from my experience, the new Airfix is great. And I really have no complaints about them. Now, I will primarily be doing 172 scale aircraft, which again, if you saw my last video, there's a reason to it. I am limited on space, and planes, tanks are only a certain size, right? I can fit any 1/35th scale tank in my spray booth, on my desk, everything to work on it. Planes, not so much. Especially a plane like this could get very, very big in 1/48th scale. So I'm privy to 172. And if you're a beginner, 172 is just, there's less going on and everything like that. So a little bit easier to build generally. Now, compared to other Airfix kits, one, this is very, very nice. And when I say other Airfix kits, I mean Airfix kits of old. This is something that everyone should be doing. Every single model provider should be doing. Not only a color guide, but multiple angles, and then, zooming in on the engines here, things like that, that's huge. Even a black and white version. Now you'll notice there are a ton of decals, or decals if you're in the UK, a ton of decals in this kit. Like, maybe the most I've ever seen, especially in a 172 scale. That will most likely prove to be annoying, if I'm being honest, because it will probably take like an entire day. And of course, you know, I'm thinking that I'm gonna put my fingers on some, so care is gonna need to be taken in order to do that. Another thing to take note of is the propeller. And now we'll see, maybe we'll just end up painting that and freehand it and hate the way it looks, but do it anyways. That is a decal, and from personal experience, anytime anything is curved around a cylindrical shape in modeling and decaling, decaling, it's usually not a great experience. So we have two different options here, which is nice. Now, the paint scheme doesn't really change. I mean, there's some subtle differences here, and the amount of decals don't really change. I guess this version really is missing, when I flip over here, this little green piece, some like tail camouflage, things like that. So I'm not really sure which one we will do yet. I generally go, especially with something like this, it's going to have some kind of crazy paint pattern on the back, I generally go with the more basic. We'll see, but this is what I'm planning to do moving forward. Just less colors, less lines. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to, I might actually end up brush painting. Now, this screams masking tape airbrush to me to get those perfect lines, but we'll see. I have historically brush painted a lot of 172 aircraft, especially when it comes to German schemes. Now, let me open this because this is an interesting part of the kit. Well, I'm not going to be able to open it without butchering apart. I don't have a knife on me, but you can see the canopy here is more than one piece. That will prove to most likely be very interesting. I've seen in one or two other people that build this that use just regular cement. Potential for completely messing up the whole kit right here. So I'm sure they had a reason for doing it. It's really the only part of this kit that I look at and I'm like, oh man, I guess besides the decals, but that's easy enough, right? All right, so looking at the rest of the kit here, Airfix, looking historically, like things like this, like the injector pin marks, this one's a little see-through, if I can get the camera angle just right. But these are the areas in which they've come leaps and bounds, in my opinion. Is that kind of basic engineering, or I take for granted as basic engineering in building a lot of tamiya kits. Those are the things we as modelers, not to sound entitled about the hobby, but come on, we're paying for stuff for the past 30 years. Like give us that good engineering, right? Make it a little bit easier for us. They've gotten a lot better at putting them in the right places. And by the right places, I mean places we're not going to see or places in the bottom. So we do have a decent amount of, now there'll be some filling and sanding on the interior here, speaking of injector pin marks, but I'd rather that than on the outside, right? So there's good detail here, especially for a 172 kit. And there's good detail on the interior, some places that we're going to be able to dry brush and things like that. So that looks really, really nice already. And we have some really nice interior pieces here. And again, 172 scale, so take it with a grain of salt. But if there are decals on the inside, I 99% chance will not put them on. It does have a big canopy, but I don't know, something about interior decals, they never fit very well. So maybe that's just in my head, but Again, a lot of nice detail on this piece, a lot of injector pin marks, but it looks nice. It also doesn't look too crazy. Now we do get some small parts. Looks like we have some landing gear and things like that. But we're talking about really like 6 sprues, and these are pretty small sprues here. So it should be a good build, a nice detailed build. I have heard that the fit of this kit is very, very good. So I'm excited about that. And then we have our exhaust and some other pieces of the wing and things here. But again, nothing too crazy. Everything, I mean, these grills, like Airfix, they got good detail on this kit. And if you watch my half-track build, I don't know. There's something about, yes, detail is great, but when it's only done by you building it, I don't know. Sometimes it's just nice to have the detail already added there. The wings look awesome. We'll have to, now this is my only worry about brush painting. They're not, it's hard to see here, but the detail isn't that deep. Again, it's to scale. It's what we would expect out of a 172, but if we're gonna brush paint it and then you wanna do some panel line wash, there might not be enough for that capillary action to actually work there. But they do look very, very nice. And again, injector pin marks and things all along the inside. So here is our giant sheet of decals. I should say decals because it's an Airfix kit. And it does look like there are several for the inside. Again, my plan will be to completely ignore those and to just dry brush. It does look like these are going to be the arms, but again, I don't know. I'll take a look as I'm building it and kind of make a snap decision, but after doing a bunch of these over the years, generally those things seem to get completely lost. Now, this is something that I very much like about Airfix, and it's something that has brought me back to Airfix, I guess, as I look to build some more planes. Most directions I found from different companies are just okay. Some I did not enjoy Tacom's directions. Straight up, I don't know. There were mistakes in it. That was confusing. The angles were bad. I know I'm used to tamiya instructions, but it's one of those things that it should be clear, right? It should be concise. We should get the right angle. We shouldn't be guessing. Guessing means you're going to be unsticking half-glued parts, and you're going to get annoyed. And in my mind, this hobby is about having fun. It's not, yes, there's some engineering and some construction and some challenges to overcome, not at the expense of not having fun, though. Dropping a piece on the floor is temporary frustration, but when you end a build and you don't feel good about it, that's what I like to avoid. And generally, again, from my experience, Airfix kits have been very, very good when it comes to the instructions. And I will say, looking at this kit, like this set of instructions, this is what I'm talking about, right? We're gonna get good detail here on different clear parts, on decals. Everything is marked differently on different color paints. They do a great job with this dark red to kind of mark what you've already done, right? So when you go to do something new, well, you know where all the new pieces are and things like that. So, and right, when I'm looking at this was a big problem with Tacom for me. Sometimes you'd flip the page to see how it looks, and it went on to the track design, right? So you're like, cool, there's no finished product. This tells you exactly how it's supposed to slot in. So I'm just assuming that the directions go on to be very, very clear, but that is a huge takeaway that I've had from building Airfix kits, and something that I really, really enjoy about them. I know that there are more detailed things out there and whatnot, but again, as simple of a note as this is, right? Letting us know that there's two different styles that we can build. There's two different things going on. You know, I know that you'll get used to these things the more you build from one manufacturer, but again, like the question mark, right? It's enough to stop you. They put the steps next to each other or really in the same step. So I very much enjoy that. And to me, this set of directions seems very, very straightforward. Even this, right? Highlighting where we're supposed to be able to only apply glue to so that the gun can spin. Spoiler alert, I probably will just glue it shut, just to avoid chip paint and things like that. From rotating it, seems like a little bit of a gimmick. It's cool, but it's gonna sit on a shelf. I don't plan on rotating anything. Again, clear. Here's our 3-part cockpit. That's going to definitely be interesting. To be completely honest, not sure even at this point how I'm going to do that. If I'm just going to do it with some extra thin and pray to the modeling gods that there's not a fat thumbprint left on it. But I don't know. Instructions look good. The kit looks good. It is somewhere around $35. So it's not the cheapest kit that Airfix makes by any means. It has a lot of canopy or cockpit, whatever the glass, the clear parts, right? I do know that there are companies that make masks for it. I will not be using a mask. Putting on 50 small stickers in perfect alignment, I don't know, not my thing. I'm just gonna brush paint the metal parts going over the canopy. That's just how I've done it. However you want to do it, obviously up to you, but great box art. It's got to be over Norway, right? I think that's where the paint direction said. It looks awesome, and I'm very excited about it. So if you felt that this was helpful, if you liked the video, do exactly that. Please like the video, please subscribe. We will be doing many more of these. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm very much looking forward to this build and getting some planes on this channel, because it's getting a little crowded with armor, right? But don't worry, we got plenty of armor coming up. Thanks, guys.